Oh, that's the one spoiler. That's actually, you're not going to expect that, and now we just ruined it. Sorry.
Is all that I will ever do.
Welcome to Filmmakers Making Films. We're glad you're here. This is a show where we talk about some films that have already been made and even discuss, I was probably banging my, sorry for that in the audio. Talk about some films that have already been made and some stuff that we're potentially in the works making. We're just talking about all things film. That's something that gets us excited. That's something that we love. So hopefully if you're into film, you're going to better understand why you love the films that you love. If you're just into cooking, maybe you're just going to think differently about the creative process. I have with me Miranda, Lindsay, and Mr. Ethan. He's in quarantine.
I'm back here.
He's
hey.
back there. You have a microphone. You don't have to yell to us.
I have a mic. Hey.
He's in quarantine. We're just being safe. We're going to make sure. He's going to have a good time back there.
Oh, we're
He's
gonna have a great
he's
time.
on the phone with us so he can hear us so we don't
Yeah.
have to like do this the whole
With his
time.
girlfriend.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking about the Barbie?
Yeah.
my girlfriend
his-
back here.
Just making sure
She's pretty
that's
hot.
clear. He's single,
she's
ready to
pretty
mingle
hot.
from everything that I
That's
know.
right.
Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start, or we're going to be talking today. What is he saying? We're going to be talking today about a brand new Netflix original film called A Week Away. So, where do we want to start?
Away.
A Week Away. So,
Week Away.
it's a week
Away.
away. It's a play on words, though, because the
A
camp's
week
called A Week Away.
A week away. A week
Yeah.
away.
I think that was kind of annoying, to be perfectly honest. I didn't love that, but at the same time, I love puns and I love stupid dad jokes, so I was kind of like, I could appreciate it. So I watched this with my wife. When did I watch that? Saturday night, I think.
Saturday night, yeah.
I think I watched it Saturday night, and then Sunday when I saw these guys, I was like, hey, no context. I was like, watch this. We're going to talk about it. We have yet to discuss this.
Yeah.
We have held off on all conversations that we were even going to have because
Been dying to
we-
all day.
Been dying.
I have been dying to all day. I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to start? You want to start? What's your favorites? What did you like it? Let's just start with this.
Okay.
Did you like it?
Sure. Yes.
Wow. We're gonna have to
I was
edit out a
expecting,
lot.
yeah, I
So-
was expecting you to be excited.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
okay,
expecting
here,
you to love it.
You want my honest thoughts?
Well,
my
yeah.
honest thoughts.
No, we're here because we're gonna lie to you.
I was gonna lie to you this whole time. No. I think it could have been a lot better had it not been a musical.
Oh,
Amen.
Wow.
And that's a lot coming from me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I am.
yeah, you like
So
I
musicals.
love musicals.
She loves
I
musicals
love
more than
musicals.
anything.
I think it would have been a much better execution had it not been a musical. I thought it actually had a decent storyline, but if it weren't a musical,
See, that's where I'd have taken issue with
I
it.
mean, decent.
Okay, so this is what I want to make sure we do. So let's lay some ground rules as we have this discussion. I want to just do you like musicals?
Yes.
Like really, you what's your favorite musical? You a big
La La
Les Mis
Land.
and Phantom of the Opera guy?
No, I don't.
You like? The
I've never
Greatest
seen Les
Showman?
Mis. I've never seen Phantom of the Opera, but I don't have any interest in seeing them. I'm like a La La Land kind of guy. Like Greatest
Okay.
Showman. Those are
That's
both
tough
good.
because La La Land kind of broke the mold for a musical. That was so unique.
That's true.
It was kind of an other category. That's tough.
That's what I think of when I think of musicals, though. That's what I like.
It's because that's the musical you loved.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. Man, we could just riff on that for an hour. This is not going to be an hour. We're going to do this one shorter and
I didn't
keep
hear
you
what
guys
he
with
said.
us.
What'd you say?
He said he liked La La Land because it was it was other. It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of it sort of broke the genre in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want to make sure that we do, this mic keeps bugging me. I want to make sure that we are fair,
Yeah.
not to whether or not we liked the film. It's for what it was. Did they do it well?
Right.
That's like the boundaries that I'm thinking of. Because a few weeks ago, somebody told me about this movie, and it was Rhonda. Rhonda and Mia had watched it, and they're like, I was like, well, what did you guys think? And I would have guessed this type of movie. They like sort of cheesy. I think they're into like Hallmark movies. And so like when they told me about it and they're like, it was kind of corny. And I was like, oh, Janelle's like, oh, can we watch it? And I was like, they just said it was kind of cheesy. Like I already know like they're fine with a little cheese and that stuff grinds my soul. So I was not in, like I literally told her no. Then she ended up watching it by herself, which she literally never does. So then I was like, well, let's just watch it together. So we watched it together. And like, I can honestly say, for what it was, if I just check all of my like sort of perceptions at the door, I kind of liked it. It's like I at least liked it a surprising amount. Now,
Okay.
I've never seen High School Musical. I've seen bits and pieces. I've never seen Camp Rock. I don't think I've even seen bits and pieces. And that's what this it sort of gets clumped in with those types of movies. So I can't say that like a lot of if you like love High School Musical, if you love Camp Rock, did you love those?
I like High School Musical. Yeah,
You
I
didn't
mean
like-
it's
you didn't-
cheesy,
Did
but
you see Camp Rock or like?
I've never seen Camp Rock. No.
Yeah, I feel like. Are you a fan of those?
High School Musical, not as much, but I loved Camp Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So did you like A Week Away
I did like it. Yeah,
more than you? Did you like it more than she seems to have liked it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to not reiterate. I don't think I even said it. I do want to say, like, it's not that I didn't like it, but that was kind of going from like a storytelling perspective. I do feel like it would have been a better film had it not been a musical.
100%.
That was kind
agree.
of like one of my first
Yeah.
thoughts. Because
Here's a question I wanted to ask you guys actually, because we're gonna get in this. I want to make sure that we're constantly sandwiching. Okay, here's the reality: we are filmmakers. We have done full-length feature films. Okay, I know even to do it poorly what that takes, and so I never want to get in a situation like this and like trash somebody's work because I know how hard that was. But I want to speak objectively about the goods and the bads, like what they did well and what they maybe could have improved on or didn't do like to our liking. Did you know a lot of the music in the movie? Did you know any of the music?
yes, I knew quite a few songs.
Okay. Did you know any of the music?
Yeah.
Most of them?
Most of it, from what I can remember, yeah.
I knew none of it. I'm speech jamming myself. Hold on 1 second. I knew none of it, but I was watching with 4 other dudes that did know most of it. I honestly didn't know a single one of the songs.
Yeah.
I think that was probably one of my favorite parts.
That you knew the music.
It was nostalgic for me. Like these were songs that I grew up with.
okay.
Like these were songs from like my childhood.
Yeah.
I
think that might have
it
been
sort of brought me back.
That might have been the goal.
That is honestly my point. Is like looking
was a
at
good
their
execution,
their
though.
target audience.
Yeah.
They're looking at a CCM crowd. They're looking at people who like
Yeah.
contemporary
That's
Christian
true.
music. That's their thing. They were gonna know those songs. They made sure I think those songs were in like the trailers so people knew they were getting that. At the end was a list of all the artists that they would be using songs from. You know,
Right.
somebody, if you're a big King and Country fan who is one of the bands who they did a song from, you're going to be into that. So the brilliance of what they did was sort of the cross-marketing platform. So Stephen Curtis Chapman had songs in that. Michael W. Smith had songs in that. For King and Country had songs in that. Who they
That's true.
did for King and Country did that song that they did in the movie with Dolly Parton. So that's a whole nother market that they were like sort of brought in as many different demographics as possible. And that was brilliant in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think, there was a lot of, especially for my wife, she loves this kind of stuff, but there was a lot of nostalgia attached to it too. It was like, it took us back to
True.
being kids. Like when it was like, saddle up your horses. Like I remember
See, I actually did not
love
know that one,
song.
but I was
That's
like, I
Steve-
wonder
that
if that
one.
one.
that was, I like, and they tweaked it a bit, like they had their own version of it,
Yeah.
which I thought was cool, but that's like a classic Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Yeah.
Like OG, like that was the 90s. I don't even think, that would have been the 90s, not the 80s.
Okay.
That was like OG,
That's
like what
funny.
I grew up with kind of music. So I think there's a lot of people like that was their target audience, that
True.
they were sort of reaching back to people that would know the music.
Yeah. Well, then that's probably a smart execution. But what's ironic about what you're saying, how you're saying it's nostalgic in a good way, it is in a negative way towards me because all I remember was being forced to listen to Smile FM as a kid and hating every minute of it. So when I hear those songs, I cringe.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, oh, I don't like that at all. Like they made me feel really uncomfortable. And they actually felt like they were at really awkward times that had nothing to do with the plot.
I was
the
kind of
story.
surprised how little music was in it. I felt like it had a surprisingly small amount of music. And I said
Really?
that to Janelle and she was
I
like,
agree.
really?
I felt like it had too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Janelle said this. Janelle sort of thought I was crazy. She was like, I thought it had a ton of music. And I felt like it was a lot of, there's Les Mis, where I think they say 2 words.
Oh,
And
Les
then
Mis is an
there's
opera
like The Greatest Showman.
that
Yeah, it's
pretends to
technically
be
an
a
opera.
musical.
Like The Greatest Showman, I feel like had a lot more music than that. No?
Yeah.
I felt like as far as screen
I
time
agree.
went.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Fact
think it
check
has
me.
an underlying music kind of the whole time. And I think okay, so when I say that I think it would have been executed better had it not been a musical, it's because I feel like when it comes to the way that a musical is, breaking the mold, right? Like La La Land is not a bad idea, but I think there's some things with a musical of the mold that you don't want to break, or you need to find a better way to do it. So, for instance, typical musicals start off with an opening number. They didn't have that in this.
That was my favorite part.
And I thought it was clever.
It wasn't my favorite part. I genuinely, when somebody tells me that it's a musical, I'm kind of like, okay, not really interested.
Right.
That was one, like my probably second favorite scene was the it starts with this cop chase.
No, I like that
of
they
this
started
kid
it that
getting
way.
arrested, and I actually thought that took me back to like classic 80s and 90s like adventure movies, like the beginning of Free Willy,
Right.
when he's like in running, or it's basically the beginning of Free Willy, like he's running from the cops. Like I loved that. Like that took me back to my childhood and like those types of movies. So I was with it, honestly, at that point. And even the first musical
Yeah.
break, I didn't feel like.
Well, and this is
broke
what I'm
it for me.
saying though. If you're gonna break the mold, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You have to find a clever way to intro it, and they didn't have a clever
But
way to intro music. Actually, they
Did
made
they
it where
break the mold though?
well, the way that they introed that it's a musical was through the main character who in the same song acted like it was weird that everyone was singing, but he was the one who started singing. So I kind of have this thought of like, well, why didn't they start off where it's like these weirdo Christians who love camp are the ones who are singing and he's acting like he's uncomfortable by it. Start it off that way, like break the mold that way.
You would have been more upset that they waited that long to introduce music.
No, I mean,
'Cause
I
that's
think
like,
they could've-
what, 20
they
minutes
could've-
into the movie
No, they
by that
could have
point?
introduced it at the same time, but chose to introduce it through the two that invited him to camp. You know what I mean? Instead of having him start the song, have them start the song and him
Yeah,
kind of
I
be
see what
like,
you're
"What's
saying.
going on?" And then,
By the
and
way, spoilers ahead. We're not going to really
then,
try
yeah,
to hide it.
There are
Hey,
spoilers.
I mean,
Also, talk in your mic, please.
I am talking into my mic.
No,
Here's-
you were going like.
here's what I'd say too. My point to what you're saying is, you're saying that they break the mold. I would completely disagree. It was as cookie cutter as it can be.
Yeah.
Maybe not for a musical, and that's your beef with it, but for
Beef.
but for a teen or young adult summer sort of camp adventure movie, it was like, exactly what's going to happen. You could watch this
Yeah.
whole thing, and if you like those kinds of movies,
Yeah.
you're still going to love this movie. There's really no spoilers possible for a movie that,
No,
like, I think that's what
there's
you were
not.
saying.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
All your
spoilers.
buddies were like calling every single thing as it was coming.
Yeah.
You don't need to know story. You don't need to know film. It's not rocket science on a movie like this. There are no twists. That's kind of the point. That's why people love it. Like, that's why people like these types of movies. Is it like there's this comfort of knowing exactly what you're going to get and then getting it and walking away feeling satisfied.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why
Right.
they call them feel good movies, because you're confident nobody's going to die at the end.
Right. Well, maybe that's what bothered me was it's like they're like breaking the mold in this aspect, but they're not
Yeah,
in
I
this
think
way.
you're getting
so it's like
so, like,
either
Hyper critical on that, where like even you're analyzing it from someone who like analyzes musicals, where I don't think most people watching it, even who love musicals, will be thinking that.
probably.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're not maybe wrong.
Yeah.
I do agree that it was kind of odd that he was sort of the foreigner to this whole culture,
Uh-huh.
and he's the one trying to learn it, and this is sort of a weird part of the culture to him, the singing
Yeah.
and the dancing and all that kind of stuff. Which for every musical, there's that question of like, how do we do it? Like,
Right,
how do we introduce
right.
the music? Do we just literally just pretend it's not happening and everybody just sings and dances and that's just how life is?
Right.
Or do we find some clever way to sort of break into that?
Yeah.
And
And I think maybe it was just like there's more potential with what they
Yeah.
could have done with those things. I'm not saying like I don't think the movie sucked or was bad. I did enjoy it. But when
cut
it
that part
came
out of
to-
context. Just say the movie sucked. I didn't enjoy it.
No,
And put that on Instagram.
I don't think that's true. But I think there were a lot of things where I watched it and I went, oh, I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Like they could have done something really clever with that, or where it was like they kind of like started because I liked the beginning. I thought that was cool. I'm like, okay, they're kind of breaking
Yeah.
the mold, and then the whole rest of it was cookie cutter, like what you're
Yeah.
saying. And I'm like, you kind of missed a cool opportunity to like. He doesn't sing until like the ending when he finally has that character arc, or like there was just a lot
That
of
would have been tough.
potential.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
that was
That would have been really tough.
kind of a miss in my opinion.
And he had one of the best voices. I
Yeah.
think. Although I think my favorite voice was his like nerdy buddy.
Yeah, I
in the
loved.
cabin
I
with the glasses.
really loved his
Yeah.
voice.
He was good.
George?
I will say what
George.
George was that his, yeah,
Was that
the,
his
name?
the
Yeah.
roommate?
What was his mom's name? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Fact check me. What's
Also,
her name?
fact check.
Second or first fact check.
She's like a well-known actress.
Um,
And then
we
the camp director was a well-known actor. I don't know his name. He's Todd Packer
The
from The
girl's
Office.
pretty well
I don't know his name.
known too. What's she in though?
Can't remember.
I've seen her in something, and the whole movie I was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't.
younger, way younger.
Yeah.
Sherry
What are you
Shepherd.
fact checking?
The first
Sherry
one.
Shepherd.
The first one
What was
was
she in?
A Week Away. Actually, has more.
You're
songs
talking to
than The
Mike,
Greatest
and
Showman.
It has more songs, but do those songs take up more screen time?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know.
Wait, who has
Oh.
some more songs?
Yeah.
A Week Away has 3 more songs than The Greatest Showman does.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of their
Oh.
numbers were fairly short.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I'm not counting, like they did the great, this is great. They did that one.
Mhm.
And then it broke.
This is the greatest show.
No,
So,
this
I
is the
know.
great adventure.
I was like,
And
wait,
then
what
it
were we talking
broke.
about?
And then they brought it back into like a reprise,
Mhm.
by the buses.
Right.
Okay, so the main character, she was in Bridge to Terabithia, Wizards of Waverly Place, and she was also in The Fosters, which I think is what I remember her from.
Avery, right? That was her character name.
Is there's
In-
nothing else
which
she's
one?
been in?
I know. Didn't she look so familiar?
Something else, and I can see her
Just
face.
go with it.
No.
No.
I want to say I might know her from like the Bridge to Terabithia. 'Cause I didn't watch like Wizards of Waverly Place or anything like that.
I mean, I saw.
She's in a Cinderella story.
How about this?
Wait, what is it?
Cinderella story.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Maybe
she's
that
the
was
little
it.
girl in
Yeah.
the beginning, right?
Yeah,
yes,
I love that movie.
That's right, because I remember seeing her face crying,
Okay,
and I was like,
how old do you think she is, and how old do you think the main guy character is? Does anybody know this? Did anybody
I
look it
don't
up?
know.
I know it. I looked
I
it
can
up.
see her
Okay.
age.
I'm gonna guess that she's.
I looked it up, so I already know.
Oh, all right.
I'm gonna guess.
How old do you think she is?
I think she's.
Come on, hurry up.
I think she's older than me. I think she's 20.
How old do you think he is?
The main character girl.
Yeah.
I think the main character girl is older than me.
She's saying Avery. How old is the guy?
I think he's probably quite a bit younger. Is he
She's like turning 22, I think.
really?
Yeah.
I thought she was
She's-
older than me.
She's 21.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's like 24. But
That's
he's playing,
honestly, that brought me out of the movie.
Yeah.
He's,
A
he's
lot.
23.
I actually
he's almost
thought-
24.
yeah.
They were older. I thought this was like a young adults movie. And then they went to a camp,
Yeah.
and I was like, what are these young adults
Yeah.
doing at a camp?
Yeah, and I think
22,
you know what
24.
honestly brought me. It's not fair because it's like it's part of being in the mold. He was like a Zac Efron, like
He,
Yeah.
in every way, down to
oh my
like,
gosh.
huh?
They could not have gotten more Zac Efron lead.
I
and it was
know.
good. That's probably why people like this movie so much, because it's like they literally could not have got a more Zac Efron doppelganger. And I think that brought a lot of people in because they were
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a musical with Zac Efron.
I mean, I don't think he literally looked like him to the point
No,
that
yeah,
people
yeah.
mistook him, but I felt like that almost like I wish they'd have gone like totally different.
Yeah.
Personally, I wish they
Yeah.
would have like
Super
taken a
cookie
lead
cutter.
and just had him like be again. He was like playing like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old.
Yeah.
He's like 24. I don't understand people who are like physically capable of looking like that because I always looked like I was 5 years older. But yeah, I feel like that wasn't my favorite, but it's whatever. So like, let's do favorite scenes. So like favorite moments.
Okay. Well.
Because I was just talking to someone yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I was talking to Jess yesterday afternoon, and she was saying that her sister did not like it because of this specific scene. And I was like, oh, that was my favorite scene in the movie.
I think that
Really?
one was my favorite too.
Do you know what scene I'm talking about? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. What was your favorite scene?
Oh, how do you
And then
two
we're gonna
know
actually
what scene you're
because we were in the
talking
I
same
just happened to be
conversation. We were
standing
there.
there.
Like,
Oh, okay. I was like, we weren't.
What was your favorite moment?
About this. Okay. So one scene is probably stupid, sticks out to me, and it was actually probably the only, not the only one. It was the first song where I felt like, okay, that actually fits really well, and I thought that was cool. The scene where George is nervous to go talk to what's her face, and then they're in the bathroom.
that very much reminded me of like, and suddenly I bumped into you. Like that
Yeah.
moment in
Oh,
like, is
yeah.
that Tangled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took me to that really quickly.
Frozen.
when
I
they're
think
Is
when
that
they're
Frozen?
in the
Yeah.
bathroom and he's like basically like give me a makeover or whatever, and so like he does that whole sequence, and then he has sunglasses on and he walks out there and they go into that musical number. Like I knew it was
I thought you were,
fake.
yeah, I really disliked that moment.
Really, I thought that was
That was the
funny.
first moment in the movie that I felt like it checked me out. When they went
Really?
when they
Yeah.
went like psychedelic, like it was a dream, like it
was
was
like-
very,
I liked that.
It was a dream.
I
was.
literally
that's
felt
the one
like
spoiler. That's actually you're not gonna expect that, and now we just ruined it. Sorry.
I literally felt
totally
like
expected that.
he turned into
I
the
did
weekend.
too, but I'm saying some people might not get that. Like the whole time, I'm like, okay, this is really weird. He must be daydreaming.
yeah,
And I feel like that I love, but it's also because that's the moment that made him cocky. Like he's coming in and he's got the glasses on. And he thinks he's all that. Or what I loved about his character was that he's sort of insecure and he wasn't sure. And like that's what you sort of sympathize with and connect with on a personal level, because most of us feel that much before we feel the sup girl, like, you know, what you need. You know what I mean? He like comes in with that like arrogance that I felt like sort of ruined what I liked about his character. What were you saying, Sox?
I was saying he literally turned into The Weeknd, and I thought it was like a Weeknd like
But
music
I thought,
video.
I guess like the reason I knew basically like as soon as he stepped out, I was like, this isn't real. And I think that's kind of why I liked that number, because it like it was that this is the potential of, I don't know who I could be or what I could do. And then he comes back into that real moment and then he's like, nope, and like walks away.
Yeah.
I thought that scene was,
I think that's
I don't
what
know, I
broke me
enjoyed
out of
that
it is
scene.
that like, okay, that's your potential. I don't ever want you to become that. You know what I mean? Why would I want you to be that guy?
I also just really like his voice, so I actually
Yeah,
really
he
enjoyed
has-
that song.
I think he had the best voice in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, especially like when he could hit some of those falsetto runs when they were like walking next on that sidewalk shot, you know, that typical musical shot where you got the whole group sort of tracking towards you. So my favorite scene, do you have a favorite scene, Sox?
I do have a second.
Oh, you got another one?
I do.
Quick.
Okay, so my second favorite scene was the that campfire scene when they did the split of those two songs. That was like
What was your
top
Sox?
favorite.
I don't think I had one. Probably the end.
When it was over.
Credits. Yeah. I didn't hate it. I just
Okay, literally the ending like credit scene, they shot that on like an iPhone, it looked like.
Yeah, I
Did you notice
noticed.
that? They
Yeah.
cut into bloopers that were like shot on their, you know, they were shooting on an Alexa, I think. Or no, it was on Red, I think.
was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. They were like cut into like bloopers from the movie and it looked great. And then they'd cut back to this like well choreographed like ending thing. And it looked literally like it was shot on like an iPhone 7. Like it was
Yeah.
bad. I was
It was
very
really
surprised. I
bad.
was like, man, you guys must have had like run out of budget before you shot this credit sequence. It was rough. Anyways, okay. So my favorite scene of the movie was that.
Yeah,
The campfire.
I liked that scene a lot.
The campfire.
Although, wait.
Why?
I took a picture of one of the extras because I was like, this girl ain't having it today. And I was laughing so hard, I actually rewinded it
Let's
just to take
actually
a picture
like,
of her.
okay, if you're
Gonna
listening
watch
to
it.
just the podcast version, we're just gonna keep talking. But for the YouTube, let's throw that scene up real quick. I want you to like watch this scene or at least this chunk of it.
She just
was like
so
not having it.
bored.
Yikes.
Like in every shot of her, she looks so bored. And I was like, wow.
Okay, so this is the campfire scene, or at least the chunk of the campfire scene that we're talking about. Here's the
Every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories they somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you.
God only knows what you've been through.
God only knows what they say about you.
God only knows how it's killing you. Is there a kind of love that God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you.
So I loved this scene specifically because what I feel, and it's funny because what everybody sort of, if you're not a part of Christianity or Christian culture, that's not your thing, that's okay. We want you to still watch, you're welcome. But like what everybody who sort of is not part of that subculture feels is that when they look at Christian media, it's just preaching. It's just like whatever their message is, that's what they lead with. And we'll talk about this more later in another podcast because it's sort of like the bane of my existence is when people feel like they can't engage with a story on a story level because the people in the story are going through things in a way that is not realistic. Like he was harping on me yesterday. Was it you? You're like, this guy didn't like it because it wasn't realistic. Like, because I don't tend to like true stories. Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't tend to like true stories, but if you're going to give me a fictional story, I want it to happen in a way that like I can sympathize with. And what happens a lot in moments like this, because what they do is they go into this, our God is an awesome God, and it's just like everybody's singing around them, and they
Everyone's
start to
happy,
harmonize.
everyone's safe,
Yeah, and
everything's
everybody's happy,
great.
and everything's perfect, and nothing
Yeah.
in life hurts, and it's, you know, all of our problems are gone because we're singing
Yeah.
Kumbaya around the campfire. And that is what so many people look at and see in all Christian media. It's just a
Right.
whitewash of that idea. That like, well, there was a problem, but now that I've come to Jesus and become a Christian, like, oh, it's so great because all my problems are gone. And it drives me so up the wall because it ruins like a perfectly good story. And what I loved about this is here's this moment where that's sort of washing out around them. And it's like everybody's harmonizing, our God is an awesome God.
Yeah.
And then it gets to this moment where like that starts to like drown out. And Janelle, like I literally explained it to her later. Like it finished, that scene finished and I had tears in my eyes.
Oh, I was
like
sobbing.
I was like, that was good.
I was
She's
sobbing.
like, what? Like you just like the song? And I paused it and I explained this to her. I said, did you notice that like this song's going and like everybody's in unity and everything's perfect and there's no problems. And then all that drowns out by like two people's like real issues that they're walking through going, God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. Like I'm going through real crap. You're going through real crap. I know that about you. I know that God's awesome. I know that he's good. Like I want to believe that, but like what I'm walking through right now in this moment doesn't feel easy to like accept that.
Yeah.
And they were honest about it. And I felt like that was a moment where I was like, whatever you screw up throughout the rest of this movie,
Yeah.
I am with you because you took life and you presented what I see like as such a huge issue. Like you presented the truth that like God's good, that he's there, but the reality and the truth also that like in this life, you're going to have many troubles and like, it's not always going to feel so cookie cutter. Like we want to make it out to be. Life's just not like that. And I felt like for me, I guarantee you that was a scene that made Netflix okay with picking up a Christian movie.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know. I think there's like one other Christian movie that I've heard of that's like there might be a handful that are on Netflix right now, but I don't know of any other Netflix originals. This wasn't made by Netflix. This was made by a Rove Productions, I think. It got financed by like Monarch. This guy is a music video cinematographer, producer, director, or at least a director, I think. Roman, what's his name? Roman something. Shout out Roman White. He's done like everybody you can think of. I mean, Justin Bieber, I think Ariana Grande. I mean, like you name it, he's probably done something with them. And so I think they pulled him because his background, and he's the one who like got this financed. It was sort of his pet project for a long time. And I think that was what was best about it. We'll get into that in a sec. But I feel like that was my favorite moment where it felt, it got to a spot where it was like, hey, I think, it was the midpoint of the movie where like stuff's about to fall apart.
Yeah.
Like, that's coming in the story. You're expecting it.
Yeah.
He's going to leave. He's going to do something stupid. Like you don't know what's coming. But I felt like it was a moment where it was like, okay, life sometimes like genuinely hurts. And even when you have hope, it doesn't mean that you may not have hope through it. And it doesn't mean that you may not have peace through it. But it's still like, even in the midst of that, that's still going to hurt. And like those two could connect on that. I think she had lost her mom.
Yep.
He had lost his dad. And it seemed like there was
both parents.
Yeah. I couldn't understand his mom because he would talk about his mom in present tense.
Well, he talked about his dad in the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, there was one line in it where I thought that. I thought he was an orphan. And then he said something. And I was like, oh, maybe his mom's still alive and he's like not connected with her.
No, I
like
thought they made it.
'Cause when he's up in the chair in the cafeteria, he said something about how his dad was and his mom is. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was both pests.
No, maybe I'm wrong, but that's.
I think it was
that's
the way
what I
that the
heard.
question, but in the up top, that counselor guy, he says like something along the
Todd
lines
Packer.
of since you lost your what?
Todd Packer. That guy plays Todd Packer in The Office.
But he's something like since you lost your parents, like he's kind of. At least that's what I took from it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But anyways, I just felt like that was like a really like honest moment and
Yeah.
a really, really good idea on their part to like be truthful about like.
I agree.
I feel like that's something that has gotten Christian media in whatever capacity a really bad rap is like the false pretense that like life doesn't sometimes hurt.
Right.
And I feel like they handled that really well. Now, when they got past that, it all moved way too fast. Like it was literally like from that moment on.
true. Yeah.
From now on. No, it literally like from that moment on, it was like, whoa, like you guys are in love and everything's perfect. And it's like they needed another half hour.
Yeah.
It's tough to do with a
Yeah.
movie with no names, I totally get it. You feel this confine of trying to tell the story that's so much bigger than 90 minutes in 90 minutes only.
Yeah.
Because people will just start checking out at a certain point. And the pace felt really fast the whole way through.
Yes,
And
it did.
I would rather feel that than it feels slow. Because what that does is it makes you want to rewatch it if you felt like you didn't get something, if it moved too quick. But especially by the time we got to the end, I was like, woo! We are just hauling.
Things
at
are
this
great,
point.
things are
Yeah.
bad, but they're right away great
Wow,
again. I was like,
we moved so fast. All of a sudden, they're sitting at a picnic table holding hands, and I was just like, I don't even know what just happened the last
Yeah.
10
you
minutes.
lost me.
I hated that. I hated the fact that that was probably my least favorite part. That was probably my biggest dislike with it was like she found out 30 seconds later. Speech shaming myself still.
I was gonna ask because you
Oh
sound
my
like you
gosh.
are.
I'm so
then,
excited.
It's like my voice is louder in your phone than your voices are in your phone. And I don't know why, but I got my noise canceling AirPods in,
Alright.
and we're just gonna have it. Whatever.
My mouth is in your mind. Inside joke.
Anyway,
Keep going.
what I was saying is that was definitely my least favorite part. Was like it felt like they found out who he was. 30 seconds later, she was driving to get him. They had a 30-second dialogue.
Yeah.
She got upset. They left, and then he just turned around right away. It was like,
Yeah.
what? There was no point where I felt like he was like,
Blake Snyder, he was an author that broke down like screenwriting and script writing and screenplays and all that kind of stuff. And he had the moment he calls that, he has like sort of a beat sheet that he's the writer of Blank Check, if you've ever seen that movie in the 90s. He calls that moment the dark night for the soul. Mm-hmm. So it goes the midpoint where everything sort of seems like it's going to fall apart, and then it seems like it's going to get better. And when it sort of falls apart at that like climax, he actually sort of posits that you need to have a moment that literally looks like there needs to be a contemplation of death in his sort of like story outline structure breakdown. So like even in a movie like Elf, the dark night for the soul in that movie is when he's like, I'm sorry, I ruined everything and crammed 11 cookies in the VCR. And then he's like standing on the edge of a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's their nod to like,
Yes.
it was a very veiled attempt at suicide if that's what they were talking about, but it was like the nod towards like potential death.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like even in a movie like this, yeah, they probably should have brought him to a moment that seemed more dangerous
Yeah.
yeah.
and
That-
given it a minute to breathe.
I wrote a note. I took notes. I took notes
Me too.
yesterday
I took
when
notes
I
too.
watched
I did
this.
not.
took
But
a
I
ton
did
of
write
notes.
down a note with this idea of like they should have like ended that conversation and then followed her back. And then they should have been like at the talent show and you don't know what he's going to choose to do
Yeah.
rather than
But that's
hearing
time.
his answer. What do you mean?
It just takes time.
Yeah.
And
It
they
needed
it's the kind of things they may have shot. And then
because I was
that
like,
stuff
I don't
gets
want to know
cut.
his answer. I want to figure out his answer when he shows up.
the
you
question
know?
Yeah.
becomes, why
Even
do
though
you
I knew he was going
why do you
to.
watch a movie like this? If you're attracted to this kind of movie, like why are you turning it on?
Because you told me I had to.
He told me.
I'm not attracted to this kind of movie at all.
Touche. Like what attracted you to it?
I
What was the interest?
just like feel good movies, and so,
So the feel good side of it, not
Yeah.
the musical side of it.
no, not usually. I'm usually not a huge fan of musicals, which is why like the beginning of this one, I kind of struggled to get through it because like you had said it was cheesy. Like you lined it up, it would be cheesy, and then the first like 20 minutes, half hour is like, wow, this is kind of
is
bad, even for me.
It's just
But
an
then it was, like,
underlying cheese.
yeah. But then
Yeah.
it, like
Over.
you,
But I feel like when I come into a movie with an expectation it's going to be cheesy,
This is true.
and I put those goggles
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was cheesy. But it's probably because I gave it, and I hate cheese. Like I cannot.
Like super dairy free hate
I
cheese.
cannot even describe how much I hate it. And I didn't feel that way about this because there was so
Yeah.
much grace in my mind coming into it that it's probably going to be cheesy. Because even High School Musical, the bits I've
Yeah.
seen of that, super cheesy. So I think I walked in like, okay, this is going to be cheesy. And so I wasn't bothered by it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like, but then as it went on, it was just like feel good, and you knew what was going to happen, you knew
Yeah.
what was coming, and I'm a sucker for those kind of movies. So
you
I
like
was
Hallmark
just-
movies?
I
I only watch Hallmark movies around Christmas.
Yeah, we only do Christmas, and
I
even
like
then, those ones are
Really?
almost a little too much.
I do.
Why
I
did
actually
you-
like cheesy stuff.
Why were you attracted to this one? Why did you want to watch it?
It was for me. It was maybe more of like a curiosity thing. Like I heard that it was a musical, and I also heard that it was incredibly cheesy, and that it was a Christian
Man, I didn't feel like it was-
movie. So
I don't know why I'm defending this.
These
I
were
don't-
the things. These were the things that I had
Feels out
heard.
of character.
So I was just like, okay, like I'm curious. I want to know what this is about, especially like musicals. I'm really attracted to watching musicals because I love that. But
That's kind of my point. Is I feel like most people that watch this watched it because it's a musical. That was the
Yeah,
prime. Like it literally, the title
probably.
even is "A Week Away," a musical. Like
yeah,
the people who watched it are probably people who like that's their attraction to it.
yes.
And so when you're coming into a musical, what is the most important thing?
The muse-
The music and the musical numbers. Like that.
Which I
Everything
will
else.
say, they
That's what I
had-
want to talk about. Everything else is just a transition piece between musical numbers in a music. Like if you took the music out of The Greatest Showman, that is not a good movie at all.
True.
Right.
It's very lackluster. It's a very basic story and plot.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty boring. And that's why the critics shredded it.
Mhm.
Why did the people who love The Greatest Showman love The Greatest Showman?
Because it was
Music was great.
Because
The
the
music was
music,
awesome.
because the music and the choreography was
Yes.
exactly what they wanted, and
Yes.
everything else doesn't matter. It's just killing time until someone starts singing again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what did we? Let's end with this. What did we think about the musicality, the musical numbers, the choreography,
Mm-hmm.
the way they shot it, all that?
I liked the choreography. I thought it was
Thought it was good.
I thought it was good. I mean, I thought it was good. And there were some parts where I was like, wow, that's actually like really neat. Like the water one where they've got the
Yeah.
water. I thought that
was
looked
cool.
really cool.
Like when they're out, like sort of half ankle deep in the beach.
Yeah,
at the beach.
and they have like everything. I thought that choreography was really cool. But I didn't like the music.
I agree.
I did not
It
like
was
the
like-
music,
it
but I
was
liked
like-
the numbers.
Autotune City.
Yes.
Yeah, but
It
that-
was hard
that's
Autotune
musicals.
City.
or at least that type of
Not-
musical. I mean,
not-
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that
not like
type of
again,
musical,
like
yes.
Les Mis when they're doing zero vocal. There's singing on set and there's zero sort of vocal correction,
right.
or at least very minimal. That's totally different than pop stuff like this, where like again, there's a grace for that sort of top 40 feel to feel like super smooth vocals, like absolutely no blemish whatsoever.
Yeah. And I think
And I'll take that over the trash vocals of Timon and Pumbaa in the Lion King reboot because that wasn't even in the same key. So I'll at least take Auto-Tune City over
all right,
Timon
that's
and
fair.
Pumbaa, not even close.
I think the other thing that was most maybe off-putting for me though was the timing in which they did the music and how when you watch a musical, this is what's tough about doing songs that are already done is the music in a musical is usually it can be a transitional piece or it's like it's showing something happening and they're singing about the thing that's happening. So a lot of the songs were almost off-putting because it's
Yeah,
like it's
'cause they
not
weren't
talking
about-
about anything that they're
But
going. He's walking out to the blob.
You gotta think. I know.
And
I know
I'm like,
your
what?
your like mental association with these songs is lackluster. But
yeah,
these
it
are
is.
like platinum songs.
I know.
I'm not
I
talking
know.
about whether or not they're good songs. That's
Yeah.
irrelevant. These are songs that have sold hundreds of thousands, millions of copies,
Yes.
crazy radio play. Like these are sort of the elite songs in their space. And so there's a lot of people who probably loved that because
I'm sure.
first time you're watching a movie, you can sing along. Like you're in a musical,
Yeah.
the very
Yeah.
first time you're watching it, you can actually sing along and you know all the words. And like there was a bunch of moms just so pumped on this thing, live Facebooking this movie because they
No
they are
way.
like 18 again watching this movie, remembering the first time
Right.
they heard Stephen Curtis Chapman on the on the radio. And so I think that was sort of
I understand
bit
why they
of the-
did it, but coming from like a
it's a
I don't
family.
want to say like a non-bias because I obviously have a bias because I don't
Yeah, you're very
care for
biased.
the music. No, but I mean like stepping back and looking at it like in context with the story.
Yes,
I'm
I feel like
going,
that was,
like
but
that.
they were making it.
But
They
I
made
get
a
why.
logical decision as far as the marketing goes, where it was a young adult movie, which is imagine me
Right.
in 10, 15 years, we've got 4 or 5 kids, at least 3 kids, hopefully, me and my wife, and we go to watch this movie. Like imagine families watching this movie. It's like the music is kind of done in a style that hopefully the kids enjoy, but the songs themselves are bringing the parents back, and the story is going to suck the teenager in. You know what I mean? Like the kids would have loved the style of music. The teenagers would love the story because they relate. They see themselves
Right.
on screen. They want to fall in love. They want to fall in love with a girl at camp this summer, a guy at camp this summer. And the parents are jamming to the music, and especially the parents are happy that there was nothing in it that they had to feel like uncomfortable
Yeah.
about. Because like
Yeah.
the fact that even in like these big musical dance numbers on the beach, everybody's in tank tops, one pieces, tankinis.
Yeah,
Like it was
I liked
actually
that.
like
I was very
very
impressed
shocked
by
at like
that.
how modest they did that. So we'll end with this because I felt like, and I think there's a specific piece of this where Roman White's, the director, his background as a music video director really came through
Yeah,
because
100%.
like the cinematography was
Yeah.
actually done really well in those big music
loved
numbers.
it.
And this is what I'll say, like NF's music video story, incredible.
Yeah.
The only thing that bugs me about it, the last like 3 shots where it's this sort of janky, like sort of shaky dolly away from the girl in the cashier sitting on the ground, and then it cuts to a shot of the girl, I think, and then it goes back to the exact same shot finishing, and it does it either twice or 3 times, and it bugs me that they keep coming back to the same shot rather than giving me some new perspective. And there's a specific piece of sort of Christian content that I'm watching right now that has just the laziest cinematography. It is literally like the whole conversation's being had from the exact same angle. There's no creativity to it. It's just covering dialogue, and you can tell they are working so fast and probably trying to do it so cheap and so quickly. It just comes across lazy to me. And I felt like this was done so well on that front. Like they really took the time to like make sure it was good coverage. It was fun coverage. There was a lot of like sweeping wide stuff where you see the whole group dancing, and then there was a lot of good tight coverage. It didn't ever really come back to the same shot over and over. And like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts when I keep seeing the same shot over and over. You know, sometimes it works for like dialogue. That's whatever. That doesn't need to be creative every shot. But when you're doing something that's a lot of movement, a lot of action, you're constantly coming back to the same thing. It loses me.
Yeah, I think they I think they honestly did super well with lighting. Lighting was great.
Yeah.
They used a lot of
really
different
beautiful.
kinds of lights. Like they used a lot of like pinks and blues, like only. Like that was very music video. I loved that. There was great depth of field the whole time. Steadicam was great. I just really, really liked the lighting. I thought they did a really great job. There wasn't any shots where I was like, that was like jarred.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be there. There were a couple shots that were just like skin tones were kind of green, but it wasn't like, they weren't like extremo green guy, like a booger or something like that. So it wasn't terrible.
So
Heard it here
many
first.
green guys, and that
Alright.
was the first thing that came
Yeah.
by.
Booger.
No,
I
I
know,
felt
I
like
can't
I
think-
really appreciated like
Grinch.
the commitment to excellence on doing whether or not you like the songs is sort of irrelevant because they
Yeah.
chose a route. I think we'll fact check later. Maybe we'll throw it in the throw in the count. Well, I'll get to that in a sec. I think that there is one at least original song in it, more than one. But I think the one that's sort of super popular is an original song.
The ending song. You're saying.
I
Oh,
don't remember. I can't remember.
This is the greatest. Something.
I don't remember that one.
The one I've been singing all day that I can't think of right
Yeah.
now. But yeah, I feel like
The best song ever. Is that what it?
the best week ever.
Best week ever.
Something like
That was
that. yeah.
One
mushing,
Direction.
Mushing,
I think
That was
that's
just
original.
One
mushing
Direction.
all the
And that
things
felt
together.
right because those lyrics were specific to what was
Yes,
happening on
that felt
screen.
great.
I agree.
Felt great.
But there's something to be said about bringing in music that people are
Yeah.
going to resonate with. So
Maybe it's even just like the idea of if you want to, like using the original songs, I don't think there's any, or like using songs that are already made, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the thing that was off-putting was the timing in which they chose to use it. It's like these inspirational songs with this monumental moment where you realize something. Like I thought like God Only Knows, King and Country, that was perfect spot to put that.
Yeah,
But
that
like,
was good.
and maybe it was just like the
I think you're being
blob
picky.
part, and
think
I
you're
was like,
being
that
picky.
one just felt so weird there.
anyways,
Like,
let's give a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Be honest, worth watching.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Be honest.
I feel like it was worth watching. It was really fun because I was with 4 other dudes that were just honestly.
He watched it and had fun. I think that's worth
Yeah.
it. I would say it's worth watching, especially if you're into that sort of space, like family friendly, or you like musicals, or you like sort of that young adult sort of summer movie vibe. I felt like it was the kind of movie that they sort of shelved. It was like a movie that should have come out in May or June, but they weren't sure how it was going to do, so they released it in early
Oh,
April. And it seems like it's gotten a good response. I mean, the critics didn't love it, but the critics don't love anything. I think if you're into that kind of movie, it's worth your time. So hey, throw it in the comments if you've seen this movie and you liked it. Let us know what you liked about it or didn't like about it. And past that, if there's any other current media or even old stuff that it would be fun for us to sort of react to and give our perspective on. We're always looking for stuff to talk about because we like to talk. We like to listen to ourselves talk. So thanks so much for sticking around. This is episode 2. Episode 2, Filmmakers Faking Films. Filmmakers Making Faking Films. I'm not even going to cut this and redo it. I'm just going to leave this in there. Episode 2, Filmmakers Making Films. I got it on that one. Thanks for sticking around. Have an awesome day, guys.
Goodbye.